welcome back for the second half of our video on awesome people that I happen to know in the maritime industry. Today we're going to be talking about my friend Olivia Smith. First up, here's the photo. Yay. Cinema magic. Olivia currently works on the research vessel Neil Armstrong out of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute in Massachusetts. They do a lot of really cool research out there. Olivia works in the engine department as an oiler or a QMed, which is qualified member of the engineering department. Olivia has been involved in boats since 2017, was on tall ships for 2 years of that time, and then switched over to the commercial and the research sector. So I asked, why did you get into tall ships in the first place? And Olivia just said that it seemed like the thing to do at the time. They wanted to go sailing, and it was a good opportunity to do that and get paid. Olivia left the tall ships industry because there's greater opportunity for more money in the commercial and research sector, and they wanted to be less involved with nonprofit organizations. When I asked what advice would you give someone just starting out in the maritime industry, Olivia's advice was, every time you doubt yourself or your ability to do your job, ask yourself, what would you think if you were a 23-year-old male just starting out in the industry? You need to put your ego down and ask the questions to learn how to do the things. That's key to being successful in the maritime industry. My final question was, what is the one boat that you love that you've never worked on? Your favorite boat you love you never worked on? Olivia said that it's the research vessel Sally Ride out of San Diego. It's a sister ship to the one that Olivia works on now, the Neil Armstrong. Does a lot of really cool research, and San Diego is a beautiful climate to do it in. Alright folks, our final interviewee is Captain Carol Scott Peckham. She works as a ship assist captain for a company called Crowley Maritime Services in San Pedro Harbor. She works as a harbor tug captain, and those tugboats help the really, really big container ships get into the dock, slow down, stop, turn, get off the dock, that whole thing, because when they're moving slowly, they don't have any steerage way, they can't turn. Carol started in the maritime industry in 1998, and she says she was in tall ships until 2004. I definitely worked with her in 2006 at the LA Maritime Institute, which is a great program, and I definitely recommend it. If you're in that half of the country, go check them out. She says she ran away to sea in 1998 after taking a sunset sail on the fully rigged ship HMS Bounty. I also worked on that boat, but Carol met her husband there, which is kind of neat. Apparently, his mom told him that anybody who will paint the bottom of a boat with you, you should marry her. So, Carol says that the beauty of the world on the water drew her in, and the relationships of shipmates, the friendships, the camaraderie, and the hard work that gets you there is sort of what she wanted to experience in the maritime industry. She left tall ships specifically because the commercial maritime industry has a better opportunity for financial gains. That is a perennial problem with tall ships, and we lose a lot of good sailors to commercial jobs where they can just make a lot more money. I totally understand it. Carol says that her advice is you need to be brave enough to do the thing you want to do. Yes, the maritime industry is traditionally a male-dominated industry, but in the last 23 years that she's been involved, it has opened up more and more. She says she hears a lot more female voices on the radio as harbor tugs, as, deep draft drivers, pilots, that kind of thing, than she did when she first started out. And once you learn the skill, do the skill. Like, do the things you know how to do, step up, and, the respect of your shipmates will come eventually when you're able to do that. And finally, that the maritime industry does open up a lot of avenues for gainful employment and financial income. So Carol says that her favorite boat she's never sailed on is the Sorlandet. She actually did a guest crew stint in 2005 in the North Sea, where they had a squall, and it was just excellent company and really excellent people. Sorlandet is a beautiful boat, and I secretly covet working on that boat. So that is all of our captains except me. So I'm going to answer my own question. Well, my current boat, I'm sure everybody knows, is the Providence, and I'm currently the captain and the marine operations manager. I have been in the maritime industry since 2005, and I took a stint off from about 2012 to 2018 I went and drove a water taxi, which is excellent docking practice. You put a boat on the dock every 7 minutes for 10 hours a day and you get really good at it. And I also worked for a tour boat company. It was a lot of fun and it allowed me to see a different perspective on the maritime industry. So that was a good time. Why tall ships? So I went on a day sail on the Lady Washington. I think I've told you folks about that already. It was super great, and I am a huge history nerd. And so the ability to use antiquated technology and incorporate history into my life really spoke to me on a nerd level that I had to go for. So I also ran away to sea on the Hawaiian Chieftain. I stayed for 6 months, and I just have been doing this ever since. The advice I would give to women and non-binary and really just mariners in general, but women in particularly, is believe you can do the thing. What I see happen a lot is young women deckhands will wait until they are sure they know how to do the thing. Like, you might know how to furl a sail, but do you really know how to furl a sail? And so they'll wait until they absolutely know it. And meanwhile, their counterparts, their male counterparts in the same position, have a little bit more bravado and a little bit more confidence to just do it and see what happens. And so I think we often underestimate ourselves, and we really need to just buckle down, believe in it, and do it. And sometimes you'll mess it up, and that's okay. We all make mistakes, and we can learn from them. So that's my advice. And my favorite boat that I've never worked on is Christian Radich. Christian Radich is a Norwegian sail training ship, and she's beautiful. She's enormous. She's very, very clean. I went on board once when I was in Spain on the HMS Bounty, and we befriended the tall ship next door. Why were there more than one tall ship in a place? Who knows? But we convinced them to let us come on board and take a tour, and we went to the forepeak, which is where you keep a lot of your supplies and your bosunnery things, and we opened the door, and the bosun is standing there with a bench grinder making a sword. And I was like, yes, these are truly my people. This is where I'm meant to be. And so I've secretly coveted working on board ever since then, but I haven't gotten a chance yet. All right, folks, that wraps it up for our interviewees. Hopefully you will check out some of the cool boats they work on and some of the cool boats we mentioned that they haven't worked on. So next week is going to be our final week for our Women in Maritime series for Women's History Month, and I need your help. I need you to send us questions that you would like me to answer. So we're going to do another question with Captain Sam, and particularly if you have questions that have to do with being a woman on a boat, have to do with women on boats, have to do with something not women on boats, just boats. I like just boats, that's fine. Go ahead and send me those questions, and I will attempt to answer them on camera for your amusement. All right, we'll see you next week.